In this video, we are going to take a look at the sort command line utility. So as you can guess, the sort command is there to help you sort text files. We are going to use a very simple text file here as example. There we go, it's open in gedit. So the structure of the file here, what it's supposed to represent is a social security number here, first field, then a space to separate that field from the next one, and then a statement here that say what kind of security clearance the employee with that social security number has, so no clearance, full clearance, blue, red, and then I think it just repeats itself, okay? And the last field, also separated by a space, is going to be the salary of that employee. So we have a high salary, medium salary, low salary, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, they just keep repeating those three values randomly. So we have a set of, if you want to call them that, employee records, and we have a social security number as the primary key, and then we have information about the clearance and the salary, and that's it. So we are going to use that simple text file to illustrate some of the feature of the sort utility. Okay, so the most basic way to use sort is to say I want to sort the file. The name of this file, by the way, is employees.db. There's nothing magic about suffixes in Unix and Linux, you know that by now. So I could have called it employees.txt or something like that. I just use the suffix db to remind me that it's meant to be used as sort of pseudo database. Okay, so sort employee.db. And there we go. So we can compare that to the original, and well, you're not going to find any differences actually, because when I entered this fake data file here, I used the pattern for the social security number that was pretty much already in numerical order, right? So you see the same numerical order here. By default, sort is going to consider your entire line as being the key with which you want to sort. Okay, so in this case, that's okay, because we wanted to sort probably by social security number, I would say, as a first attempt. So it looks like it's okay. But if we want to specify another field, we need a little bit more syntax. Before we even jump into that, let's just make sure that sort is actually doing something at all and not just spitting out the file as it is. So to do that, I'm going to do a sort, but this time I'm going to use a -r option. And the -r option, as you may guess, stands for reverse. So that means that now we are asking sort to actually reverse the order of the sort. So if we compare here to our gedit, okay, you can see that indeed we started with 999 and ended up with 000. So we did a reverse order sort. Okay, so you can call that descending order and the previous one ascending order, no problems. So that's nice, but again, like we mentioned already, we might want some time to sort using different fields. For example, I might be interested in sorting this list of employees based on field number 2 here. So let's start numbering at 1. Okay, this is field number 1, 2, and 3. So I would like to detect this clearance information as my sorting key, pretty much. So there is a syntax to do that, hopefully. Okay, it's -k. I was going to go for -f for field, but that would make sense, and it's not the case here. -k for key, which also makes its own kind of sense, I guess. And you are going to be able to specify what field you want sort to consider. So there's a little trick to that, okay? So I told you already, first level of trick, I guess, is that the field numbering starts at 1. You have to be aware of that, otherwise you're going to make mistakes. But let's say that I want to sort according to this field here. So the normal, natural approach would be to say, well, my key is field number 2. And here we go, okay? However, with sort, you can specify ranges of fields to use for the sorting. So you could say 2 and 2, which is just a fancy way to say, well, I want field 2, right? Well, actually, it's a little bit more than that. It's a way to say, I want you to use as a key for sorting everything starting at field number 2, so blue clearance here, okay? Starting at field number 2 and ending at field number 2, which is different than saying just -k2, which means, you know, well, I want you to sort starting at field number 2 and implicitly going up to the end of the line. So this first example here used this entire highlighted area as a key for each line. The second example here is going to carefully just restrict itself to the second field. Okay, so that's just the one little trick that you have to be aware. I think this is the only thing that's really confusing potentially with sort, and you can tell that the results here are different. Okay, so we can we can use a little trick very quickly to check, when we have long file if they are sorted the same way. So I'm going to call this sort1, let's abbreviate s1.out. Okay, so the sorting with just a key 2, and then I'm going to call back that command with key 2, 2. By the way, no space here. Okay, 2, 2 all in one block without spaces. Okay, s2.out. So now I redirected the output of my sort command, to two different files, so we can look at them. Of course, this is s1, this is s2, something that was displayed previously. And now what I can do is I can use this diff command, which we are not going to talk too much about, okay? Certainly not in this video, but also in this course. It's just a way to compare, let's simplify, to compare two text files, okay? And the -s option I'm using here, that's the only option I'm going to illustrate. I'm not going to even show you the standard output of diff in this video, but the -s option is a way to simplify the comparison, to say, just let me know if the two files are the same. So I specify two files, s1.out, s2.out, and it's going to tell me pretty much whether the two files are the same or not. Okay, so the syntax here is a little, yeah, there we go, this is better. The syntax here is a little too much, actually. I didn't want to show you that much because it's actually the syntax of what we call a diff output. Okay, so ignore that. Let's use -q instead. I messed up, I used the wrong option here. Let's use -q instead, and you can see that the output is really simplified. It's, I think it's referred to as a quiet output. It just tells us, okay, do those files differ, yes or no? And that's exactly the answer we want now. Okay, for this video we care only to double check that the two sorted output differ from one another when we use those two different options. Okay, and then you can open the files and look at the details to see exactly how they differ. So there are obviously a bunch of options with the sort command. As usual, I want you to go through the main page, to read it once, okay, and just take note of the different options that are available, so that you can refer then back to the main page if you need a specific feature and figure out the syntax. I don't ask you to memorize the syntax. The one option that I'm going to add to this video real quick is the option that allows you to specify different field separators. So what do I mean by field separator? If I open the file employees.db, okay, I've used a space here to separate my fields, but I could have used a comma, I could have used a tab, I could have used, I don't know, any symbol pretty much, okay? I could format my file differently. So if I do not, I mean, it seems that sort is working just fine, when the separator is a space. But what if the separator is not a space? What if it is a different symbol, like even just a comma? You are using a comma-separated file that you exported from an Excel document, for example, something like that. Okay. Well, I have an example of such a file here. I just took this file and I'm going to open it here. I named it employee2.db, and you can tell the only difference really is that I used a colon to separate the field instead of a space. So if I try to do what we have done so far, which is sorting on the field number 2 and only the field number 2, but I try to do that with my my employee2.db file, this is the output I'm going to get. So real quick, if I dump this in a file s3.out, okay, now I can compare to my original sorting of the file with key 2 and 2. There we go. So that was S2. So now I'm going to compare S2 and S3, right? So diff-q s2.out, s3.out, and they differ. That's okay. Why do they differ? Because the basic version of sort assumes that you are going to separate things with spaces. So here, it does not see actually, it does not see a line with multiple fields. So even though you specified I want to use field 2 and only field 2 as key for my sorting, it looks at the line in and by itself as an entire field and as the only field available. So it just disregards whatever field you specified with the -k option. So that's not quite what we want. Okay, that's not working out for us. That just shows that we need some extra syntax to tell the sort utility, listen, I want you to use your regular option and your regular behavior, but I want you to actually use a different field separator to recognize where each field starts and ends. Okay, so we have an option to do that. It's the option -t. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to say my field separator is a colon. So -t space. I single quoted the colon here to neutralize it. In this case, not really necessary, okay? But if I was to use a separator between my field that so happened to be also a meta character for the shell, then I would have to neutralize it one way or the other. This is the way I chose to neutralize it, okay? So now I can say, okay, sort according to field number 2 and only field number 2. And oh, by the way, the fields are separated by a colon. And you can see now that, yes, we have blue clearance, blue clearance, blue clearance here. So the first lines start with their field, their key starts with a B, okay? So then a B and a F and an N and an R, these are in order. All right. So that's pretty much a quick overview of the sort command. I would say probably we try to cover in this video the most potentially tricky option. Again, there are tons of options. I mean, tons, not that many for sort, but there are a few options. I really invite you to play and experiment with them. And if you have any question, post on the forum. Okay, this is what the forums are there for. Try to experiment something with sort. If you get a result that you don't fully understand, post on the forum. Let us know what you did, what you tried, and what went wrong, and we'll jump in to help you out.